Friends, history is full of mysterious and unexplained events. In today's video, we'll uncover 5 such unbelievable mysteries from the past that still leave the world puzzled. So make sure you watch this video till the very end, because every story will shock you more than the last. Number 1. They say, for a soldier, nothing comes before his country. He fights, and if needed, dies for the flag he serves. But history remembers one man who wasn't driven by love for his nation, but by hatred for another. This is the story of Leper King, a man so obsessed with defeating one enemy that he joined 3 different armies to fight them. The world would later know him as the Soldier of Three Armies. Born on May 28, 1919, in a small Finnish town called Viipuri, King grew up with a deep sense of patriotism. He joined the Finnish army as a young man, and in 1939, when the Soviet Union invaded Finland, he was ready to defend his homeland. This brutal conflict, known as the Winter War, tested Finland's will to survive against one of the world's largest armies. King fought with unmatched courage, but the war took everything from him. He lost his comrades, his parents, and his friends, and in their place grew a burning hatred for the Soviets. When peace was finally declared in 1940, King couldn't accept it. He wanted revenge. So when Finland later allied with Nazi Germany in 1941 to fight the Soviets again, King didn't hesitate. He joined the German forces. From 1941 to 1944, he fought fiercely on the Eastern Front. But when Germany fell, King was captured and imprisoned. After a year in captivity, he escaped to Sweden, and from there, made his way to America. In the United States, he changed his name to Larry Thorne and once again enlisted, this time in the U.S. Army. His hatred for communism had not faded. He believed any army that stood against the Soviet Union was worth fighting for. By 1965, the world was at war again, this time in Vietnam. Larry Thorne was sent on a secret mission deep into the jungles of Laos. But on October 18, 1965, tragedy struck. His helicopter crashed in the dense forest. No trace of Thorne was ever found. For nearly 20 years, his fate remained a mystery, until 1984, when human remains discovered in Laos were confirmed to be his. It is believed he tried to jump from the crashing helicopter and didn't survive the fall. Leper King, or Larry Thorne, remains one of the most extraordinary soldiers in history. A man who wore the uniforms of Finland, Nazi Germany, and the United States, but carried one unchanging enemy in his heart, the Soviet Union. Number 2, they say, history is written by those who refuse to surrender. And in the 12th century, amid crusades, faith, and endless war, a young king with a dying body proved that courage can outlive flesh. This is the story of Baldwin IV, the king the world remembers as the Leper King. Born in 1161, in the holy city of Jerusalem, Baldwin was destined for royalty. But fate had other plans. Even as a child, his body began to show strange signs. Doctors soon realized the truth. He had leprosy, a disease with no cure, feared and misunderstood by all. But Baldwin's spirit was unshakable. While his body weakened, his mind grew sharper. He studied history, strategy, and the art of war, preparing for a future he knew might not last long. When Baldwin was just 13 years old, his father, King Ameneh, died, and so the sick young boy took the throne of Jerusalem. Many believed he would be the last king, that his disease and his youth would destroy the kingdom. But Baldwin proved them all wrong. He surrounded himself with wise advisors and fearless knights, men loyal not to his strength, but to his vision, and soon his greatest test arrived. To the south, a powerful Muslim general was rising, Salah ad-Din Yusuf ibn Ayyub, known to the west as Saladin, his dream to bring Jerusalem back under Islamic rule. In 1177, Saladin marched toward Jerusalem with a massive army of 26,000 men. Baldwin had barely 350 soldiers to defend his realm. It was a battle no one believed he could win, the Battle of Mungazar. But the young, dying king rode at the front lines, his hands barely able to hold the sword, his face covered with cloth to hide the disease, and yet he charged. Against all odds, Baldwin's army crushed Saladin's forces. The great Sultan barely escaped with his life. It was a miracle, one written in blood and courage. Baldwin IV was only 16 years old. As the years passed, his condition worsened. His body decayed, his face became unrecognizable. He ruled from behind veils, his voice growing weaker, but his will never fading. He appointed his sister and brother-in-law as successors, but soon realized his brother-in-law was unfit to lead. So Baldwin changed his decision, naming his young nephew Baldwin V as heir. By 1185, the disease finally claimed him. He was just 24 years old. After his death, Jerusalem's fate began to crumble, but Baldwin's legend did not. History remembers him not as a dying man, but as a warrior king, a ruler whose body was frail, but whose will was stronger than steel. Number 3, it was 1821, the year Mexico finally gained independence from Spain. But freedom didn't bring peace. The young nation was drowning in political chaos. Corruption, power struggles, and lawlessness ruled the streets. Bandits roamed freely, and even the Mexican army took part in looting. Foreign traders were easy targets, and one of them, a French pastry shop owner, was about to change history. His name was Remontel, a humble baker who ran a small pastry shop in Mexico City. In 1835, a group of Mexican soldiers raided his store, smashing everything, stealing his goods, and leaving him with damages worth 60 pesos. A small sum, but for Remontel, it was everything. Angry and desperate, he wrote a formal complaint to the French government, pleading for justice. That letter reached King Louis-Philippe I of France, who decided this insult would not go unanswered. France demanded 600,000 pesos in compensation, not just for Remontel, but for other French citizens who had suffered losses in Mexico. But Mexico refused, and that refusal sparked one of the strangest wars in history, the Pastry War. In 1838, France sent its navy to blockade the port of Veracruz, cutting off Mexico's key trade routes. French warships opened fire on coastal forts and soon captured major Mexican positions. Mexico retaliated, deploying its army in a desperate attempt to defend its shores. The fighting didn't last long, but it left hundreds dead and cities in ruins. Finally, in 1839, Britain stepped in to mediate peace. The agreement forced Mexico to pay 600,000 pesos to France, all because of one man's bakery. A war that began over pastries and pride ended up becoming a powerful reminder of how fragile diplomacy can be, and how sometimes even a small shop can ignite a global fire. Number 4. This is the story of Ameneh Bahrami, a woman whose life was destroyed by hatred, but remembered for her unimaginable act of forgiveness. In 2004, in Tehran, Iran, a man named Majid Movahedi fell in love with Ameneh. But it was a one-sided love, and when Ameneh refused his marriage proposal, Majid's obsession turned into rage. One day in a crowded street, Majid waited for her, and then, when a horrifying act of revenge, he threw acid on her face. The acid burned through her skin, disfigured her completely, and left her blind in both eyes. Majid was caught and arrested, but the damage was done. Ameneh's life had changed forever. Under Iran's Sharia-based law, there exists a principle called qisas, meaning an eye for an eye. It allows the victim to demand the same punishment that was inflicted upon them. Ameneh chose that path. She told the court she wanted Majid's eyes to be burned, just as he had done to her. But the case dragged on for years. Debates erupted across Iran. Was this justice or vengeance? Was it right to blind a man, even if he deserved it? Finally, in 2008, the Iranian court ruled in Ameneh's favor. She was legally permitted to pour acid into Majid's eyes. The world reacted in shock. Human rights groups called it barbaric. Under immense pressure, the court temporarily halted the punishment. But in 2011, the order was reinstated. Majid was brought to the hospital room, blindfolded, terrified, begging for mercy. Ameneh, still blind, stood beside him. She could not see him, but she could hear his trembling voice asking for forgiveness. The doctors handed her the vial of acid. Silence filled the room. And then, she made a decision that stunned the world. Ameneh forgave him. She refused to go through with it. "I don't want anyone else to feel the pain I lived with," she said. "My revenge is my forgiveness." Later, she wrote a memoir titled Eye for an Eye, telling her story of pain, survival, and mercy. Ameneh Bahrami became a symbol, not of tragedy, but of the power of forgiveness over vengeance. Even in darkness, her choice showed the world what true strength looks like. Friends, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.